The Film Situation Podcast is brought to you by the Alphaville Foundation, a nonprofit dedicated to advancing cinematic culture. Find out more at alphavillefoundation.org.
You are now listening to the Film Situation Podcast.
Well, I'm really happy and honored to have Chris Camaj on the Film Situation Podcast. Welcome, Chris. Chris is an actor. He's a fellow Albanian, fellow New Yorker, and welcome to the Film Situation, man.
Appreciate it, pal. Pleasure to be here. Pleasure to spend some time with you and all the viewers.
And you've got a great New York accent, an old school New York accent, which I had more of when I was younger. I was listening to a recording of myself when I was like 20 years old, and I had a distinctly more New York accent, but you've got a New York accent from like a million miles away.
Yeah, it's I try to do a good job covering it up when I need to. As far as when behind the camera or whatever. But I like, I wear my art on my sleeve, you know what I'm saying? So
I think it's a good thing. I only see it as a positive thing because it seems that regional accents are disappearing for some reason.
They are. Well, because the cities and like the neighborhoods, not just in New York, but in a lot of the urban areas, like the Philadelphias and the Bostons, the Chicago, there's still a stronghold, a small stronghold. But little by little, it's disappearing because people are moving in, and the hometowners are moving out. So that's how it begins to disappear.
That's true. I know.
There's a thing now. I don't know if you saw it, but like all of the implanted New Yorkers now are trying to say that Manhattan's not the city. It's what are you talking about? No, Manhattan's.
I was born in Manhattan, so like, how could you say it's not the city?
It's the city. But I was saying, if you don't live in Manhattan, if you're from Queens, if you're from Brooklyn or the Bronx or whatever, you say where you going to the city.
Of
you
course,
don't say I'm going to Manhattan. You know what I'm saying? But now they want to change that, so that little by little, everything's going to change. Little by little, it happens.
No, that's so true. Yeah, that's just how it is. And so you grew up in Queens, right?
Yeah, I grew up in Middle Village, Queens. I was born in Queens, actually. I was born in, at the time, it was called Queens General, right off of the Grand Central Parkway in Queens. And my brother was also born in Queens. So we're both first generation. I'm a first generation Albanian American, and I was born in Queens and raised in Queens my whole life. I'm still tied to Queens to this day. You know what I'm saying?
Where's your family from over there?
My family's originally from my father and mother are Montenegro. Well, they're Albanian, but
are they from Horthy?
So here's how it goes, right? They're both Mysore, right? Which for the viewers, that's Montenegrin, but we don't call ourselves Montenegrin, but we're Albanian. You know what I'm saying? But it's so confusing.
I know.
I don't want to get into an educational lesson, but
yeah,
if you're familiar, my father is from a clan called Horthy, and my mother's from a clan called Kelman, which is Clement. And neither one of them was born here. So like I said, we're first generation. They got here in like 71, 72, something like that. Two children, my older brother and myself.
But that's pretty early on, actually, for Albanians. Yeah, it's I guess there was a wave of them. My grandparents actually came in that, like when my mom came here, I guess they came around that era, like the early 70s. My dad came a little bit later in 1979, a couple years before I was.
And that's crazy because as early as that sounds, there was actually, because when I was younger, even now, I'm big for like information, you know what I'm saying? And now that it's right, snap of the fingers, you don't got to open up an encyclopedia. You just go in. You'd be surprised that there was little pockets in Boston and Chicago, Albanians, even before that.
With
Ellis Island and everything.
The Boston Albanians, I know those were the first ones that I knew of that came over 100 years ago, like Fen,
right?
And it's fascinating, actually.
100%. 100%.
So you're an actor, and I guess let's start at the beginning. What how'd you start getting? How did you get into acting in the first place?
So check it out, right? So again, I wear my heart on my sleeve. So I'm always going to consider myself a street guy, and that means I'm just, I'm cut from the cloth of the streets of New York. You know what I'm saying? I got a major influence from my Italian brothers. So I grew up with mostly Italians and Irish as well, and other nationalities and ethnicities and colors and all of that. But I have a heavy influence with the Italian culture because where I grew up, as I got older, I was surrounded by a lot of Italians. Where in my particular neighborhood, there weren't a lot of Albanians. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I didn't grow up like, for example, let's say like an Arthur Avenue. You know what I mean? Where you have a little more of the culture of Albanians, or even in Ridgewood, where you have a little more of the culture of Albanian. So I really got to live a New York American upbringing with the influence from other races and ethnicities. You know what I'm saying? A lot of Italian, a lot of Irish. And, with that, with being in the streets, a lot of things happen and obstacles come and go, and you meet certain people and, you get influenced by them. And, I never had an idea of being an actor, to be honest with you. I mean, as a kid, I loved TV, I love film, I love music. I was always into entertainment. And throughout the course of life, when I was like 16, 17, I, met up with a group of friends that were always older than me. All my friends were always older than me, and they were doing a hip hop thing. And I love rap music, at the time. And I just started to get involved in a sense of where, helping out wherever I can, whether it be promoting or, helping with, any type of influence in the music or ideas, or, I just loved the music thing. And as I got older and we started to get older and put more time and focus and money and actual work into the music thing, I did, I played a role of like a behind the scenes type of management, executive type of guy, you know what I'm saying? And that was my focus. So, I was the point man for, independent rap artists, Italian-American rappers as well. Shout out to Nature Born and Genovese. And as we, started to grow and do the music thing and started to like little by little, I started to like, fade away from the streets. But, with music, it's tough, especially in rap. It takes,
Because it's intertwined with the streets.
it's intertwined with the streets. So it's hard to stay off of the streets. But as far as rap, the business itself, I stayed in the independent hustle with the music for a little bit with my boys. And as you get older and older and older, you start to realize at some point people really, unless you're Nas or Jay-Z or, 50 or one of these guys, not too many people are trying to hear an older rapper. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing wrong with it. Now you see a lot of the old rappers releasing stuff and it's great. You know what I'm saying? But at the time, as you're getting older, you have to think. And I always was like, look, I know that at the end of the day, people are going to tell stories. And the only way to keep telling stories is to get, into film and all of that stuff. So as I was doing the music thing, I would always be told, oh, you should do the acting thing. You should do the acting. You got a great look. You got a great, charisma about you, blah, blah, blah. You have it. And I always was just like, I'm the point man for this music thing. I'm not an actor right now. Right now, the job is to get this label to where we need it to go. You know what I'm saying? But when your network grows and know so many people, you get opportunities that are just brought upon you. So my good friend at the time, Chris, who's very good friends with Spike Lee, got a call that they were filming 25th Hour. So they were doing the 25th Hour and with Ed Norton, and we had a scene in there that Ed Norton's walking through Bensonhurst, right? So Spike told Chris, get your whole crew together. I need you guys, even though we're from Queens, I need you guys to come to Bensonhurst and do a shot for me. And so, I went and I just felt super comfortable, behind the camera, in front of the camera rather. And I was, I just performed, naturally the way I would perform. And the scene wound up being, a classic scene.
Yeah.
And people were telling me, hey, you should do the acting, you should do the acting. And I still didn't take it serious, And then here and there, I give videos and this and that. after the 25th hour scene, people would reach out to me. Oh, can you do my, because of the rap game? They see me in Spike's joint. Now they're like, all right, come on, come do a video with me. Come do this, come do that. I got a scene for you. I got a scene. But I still never really took it serious. And I said, you know what? It was around 2014 to 2015. Me and my partner at the time, John, we were running around and trying to get a couple of projects off the ground, film projects. He always had a passion for it too. So at this point, I'm basically fully out of the music thing. And more so just focusing on trying to get projects off the ground. One project in particular was a boxing film that we wanted to do, the late great Arturo Gatti. Arturo Gatti's, you're familiar with Arturo?
Definitely.
He's dead. There was a lot of controversy on his death. But he's like a real life Rocky. So my boy John at the time, he came up with an idea to do a biopic about it, and we had a writer with us, and we wrote out a script. We reached out to his manager, we reached out to his trainer, Buddy McGirt, and we wanted to put together a little, a good team behind it. And we ran around with it for like 2 or 3 years. And we had some attachments. It never went nowhere. And then, at the time, the Mickey Ward film came out, The Fighter. Now, Mickey Ward and Gatti are two, they had a trilogy of probably the 3 greatest fights. One of them was one of the greatest fights of all time. And the round, I think it was the 9th round in the first fight, was one of the greatest rounds of all time. Mark Wahlberg played Mickey Ward.
Yeah.
And Christian Bale played his brother, Dickie.
And he did a great, that was honestly,
that was incredible.
Lowell, Massachusetts.
Incredible. Yeah. There you go. So what happened is, I think Mark wound up saying that he was going to do The Fighter 2 and do that. And then we had a falling out with the writer, whatever. Long story short, it never went nowhere. We stopped, it stopped dead. And we started to, like, I guess, go a little separate ways and whatever, life happens and blah, blah, blah. At that, what happens next is my friend Vincent Piazza and our friend at the time, my same partner, John. Vincent Piazza's from my neighborhood. Vincent Piazza's very respectable.
I've met him before. A good actor and good dude.
So he's also from my neighborhood. He's from Middle Village. So him and my friend Nick Sandow, they were working on an independent film called The WANNABE.
Oh, that was a good movie.
Yeah, The WANNABE was loosely based on real events. They were looking for locations and help on the production end. And, they reached out to John and myself, and we helped them as best as we could. And I was fortunate enough to be asked by Nick if I wanted to do a little scene or two in the film. He had a good character for me that he thought I would do great in. And I says, yeah, sure, absolutely, why not? And I played the role of Sally Boy. I had like 1 or 2 scenes in there, 3 scenes. It was like a pretty decent, principal role. It was a great opportunity to be involved with those guys. And Patricia Arquette, that's before she won the award too. Nick had her picked out, like I could see her being phenomenal for this role, and that she wound up winning the an Oscar for the, what's it called? Boys Last something. I forgot the title, but she wound up winning an Oscar, I believe, after the WANNABE.
I always loved her since the movie True Romance with Christian Slater and Patricia.
Legendary
Patricia
movie.
Arquette, yeah, she's incredible.
Legendary movie.
And then she's a big Severance recently. Have you watched this show, Severance? She's incredible in it. She plays like a boss character, like in an office, but it goes so much deeper than that.
I'm not up to date with it, but obviously I'm familiar with it because it's a pretty big show.
It's some of the best. I used to be kind of a little snobbish about the show of like, oh, the cinema is so superior to TV. And then when you watch a show like that, you're like, man, this is incredible. This is just like incredible stuff. And some of the best acting I've just seen on screen is like some of the stuff she's done in that show.
Crazy.
Yeah.
She is, listen, some people are just like some people you just see, they're just, they're superior. They are, there's no way around it, like Denzel to me superior. You know what I'm saying?
He's great.
There's just people some people are good, some people are great. It's like anything else, you know. Some people are just better than others, you know.
Denzel was awesome in Man on Fire. That was also directed by Tony Scott, who directed True Romance. But Man on Fire is one of my other. That's just an incredible film too, with Christopher Walken and
Christopher Walken, Queens guy.
I love Christopher Walken. That's my favorite actor right there.
He's from Astoria, Christopher Walken.
Yeah, he's a legend.
So after they gave me that scene, you know, in that thing, I was just like, I got the bug. I was like, you know what? I ain't getting any younger. I'm gonna just take it serious. And from there, I just decided to take it serious. I would say like maybe I would think it came out in 16 or 17. So basically, I'm like only about 8 to 9 years, like seriously taking it, you know, as a career. You know what I'm saying? Where prior I would just, you know, whatever came up. If I got an opportunity, I got an opportunity, whatever. You know what I'm saying? And that's where I'm at now today. So,
and what have you learned? Like when you were working on the 25th Hour, did you interact at all with Spike Lee? Like, what did you?
Yeah, no, I've been fortunate enough to be around Spike. You know, off the camera, even before that and after that, because like like I said, my good friend is very, very close with Spike. So Spike is a friend.
It should be mentioned, obviously, right now, the Knicks recently won the finals. And from what I know about you, from following you on socials, you're a diehard Knicks fan. So congratulations.
Bro.
Yeah.
It's misconstrued. I'm not a diehard Knicks fan.
I see. Yeah.
Ready?
Okay.
It's misconstrued. And one thing about me is I always got to keep it real. I had to take a video down because it went crazy because I was giving props to the Knicks fans.
I see.
Not a Knicks fan. I make it clear that I try to make it clear that I'm not a Knicks fan. And
I think I saw the video and I think I took it to mean that you were shaming people that were not.
So I wasn't. So it's crazy, bro.
Let's give some context. What was the video? For the people that
you have to take the video down. To make a long story as short as possible, right? I'm not a Knicks fan. I don't root for the Knicks. I was rooting for the Knicks this year, right? I'm a sports guy. All of my friends are Knicks fans. The Knicks have not won in 53 years, right?
Yeah.
So what I was doing is I was giving props to the real deal Knicks fans because, you know, over the course of this legendary run they're on, there was a lot of bandwagon fans, right?
Yes.
That miracle tip-in by OG was something that never, ever used to go.
That was incredible.
Was incredible.
Yeah. That really was one of the most remarkable things I've ever seen in my life because they were just down by 25 points in the previous quarter. And just that kind of comeback was just unfucking precedented.
Listen, it was an absolute legendary run from beginning to end, the entire run.
Yeah.
So all I was basically saying is that particular game, that tip-in, right, was a gift to all of the years of the suffering for the Knicks fans. That's the way I felt.
Yes, that's it. Right. That was accurate.
And I was giving props to them. And I even said in the video, the rest of the fans, when they win the chip, because I knew they were winning the chip. I knew it. That was only game 3 when that happened, or game 4 rather, right? No, game 4. So I said, I knew they were going to win the chip after that. So I even made it clear. I was like, when they win the chip, then everybody could have it. But last night's game, that was for the real fans, you know? Because I got on a little thing.
Okay.
I made a video about Charles Oakley not being allowed in Madison Square Garden. Charles Oakley's a legend.
Yeah.
So the comments started going crazy. Now the young kids are like, "You're shaming us." The other people are like, "What they did this and what that?" But the people that didn't realize I wasn't a Knicks fan are like, "Go yourself. We don't care what you're saying." You know, it's like it wins. So I'm like, you know what? Let me just take this because I'm not trying to be the poster boy for the New York Knicks, and I'm not about like, you know,
right.
I tried to show love. I took it down. I was like, you know what? I left the other one up for Oakley because I was just showing Oakley some love.
Yeah. I guess I didn't do the deep enough dive, Chris. I just was watching it in passing and just
That's
assumed
what
that.
everybody does. That's what
Yeah.
right. And everybody started like, yo, they want to make me the poster, bro. The thing went 100-something thousand views in like 6 hours. I was like,
That's wild.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm not dealing with that.
If you
know?
didn't expect that, right? Like when you're just posting up to say,
Listen, you make it. I mean, I'm not that guy. I'm not the guy who's all over the internet like that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You're not like my friend Beck, that I went to college with, Beck Lover, who has been going viral lately.
Oh yeah, he got a podcast or something that he does?
He's got a podcast. He's one of my buddies from college, and I know he's been
What
taking
college
on
did you go?
Pace University. Shout out to Pace University and the
Yeah.
Pace alumni.
Yeah, that's what it is. Well, listen, it sometimes to be honest with you, the only reason why I took it down is because I don't like being looked at like somebody that does something. I don't. I never did. I never will. You know what I'm saying? I'm as real as steel. Listen to me. 2 things I pride myself on are being super real and loyal. And I say it all the time. It's to a default. It does not help me. It hurts me a lot more than it helps me, but it just doesn't feel right. You know what I'm saying? It don't feel right.
I know what you're saying. I'm the same.
It's just that it's just something that it doesn't sit well with me if I'm disloyal or if I'm not keeping it real. You know what I'm saying? And it's not a good thing.
You're from the old school. That's what
Yeah.
not to. And there's no school like the old school.
Yeah, right. Again,
listen, I'm the same way. I have that mentality as well. And I feel like people are too loose on, this is a whole other topic, but I feel like people are too loose on how they use the term friend,
absolute
Like,
friend, brother.
You notice that people like from the old school, like they would really differentiate, like really, really much older people. They'd be like, oh, I'm friendly with this person, meaning that they're cool with that person. They're acquaintances with them. They're like, oh, that's an acquaintance of mine. But they wouldn't be so quick to say friend unless they've broken bread with that person. They've had, experience. There's obviously different levels of friendship, but to me, at a minimal level of friendship is, have I broken bread with this person? Do I know anything about you know what I mean? Like, could I call them on the phone and make plans to like go grab a bite to eat? Then obviously there's levels of loyalty and friendship beyond that, of course.
100%. Listen, I've had relationships after 20 years fall out and then get back together, and you're close with somebody. I mean, close, whatever. I mean, I try to stay like this now. Everything is perspective. I try to let stuff roll over my shoulder and just forget about things and move on. You know what I'm saying? That's just the way I am. But I don't consider a lot of people close to me as I used to. There's only a handful of people. But when I was younger, I had a lot of people that I thought were super close to me. And just, and it's no fault to nobody. I guess just life. Sometimes it's just life happens. You know what I'm saying? And there's really, everybody's on a different trajectory and everybody's doing something different. So, what could you do? But the real true ones will always find a way or a time to reach out. That's the way I look at it. And if it's always the same person that's always reaching out, how true is it? Right.
Right.
So
it can't be one-sided, you're saying.
Right. You know what I'm saying? If it's always the same person, yo, what's up? And 2 years go by and you reached out 7 times and that person don't reach out to you one time. It's just whatever. Sometimes it bothers you. Sometimes it doesn't. It is what it is. Life is hypocritical, bro. You wake up one day, you may be in the best mood on earth and you talk to somebody you didn't speak to in 10 years and care, right? But one day you may wake up and be like that. You know what I'm saying? It depends how you feel every day. I'm starting to learn that, bro. It's just, that's the way life, bro, whatever.
No, I think about that kind of stuff. And I try to, just like you, I try to let things roll off my back, especially petty things. I just feel like, I don't know, man, life is too short for petty bullshit. So I really don't engage in anything sort of petty. And I also, in my circumstance, I have a son that has autism and he's pretty severe. And then it kind of makes you look at life in a different way, and you realize that everybody just has a different way of thinking sometimes. It might not like seeing somebody that's autistic is an extreme example of it, but there's all kinds of different examples of it. So you might catch somebody one day and they're being kind of prickly or whatever, but you might not realize what the hell is going on in that person, what they dealt with that day, and maybe they're dealing with some stuff with their family or some major personal problems, and it came off the wrong way on you, but it wasn't intentional. So my whole thing for a while now is I try to factor intent. I'm like, did this person intend to do this? And a lot of times the answer is probably no, and it kind of it requires you to take your ego a notch down, because you can't, if you look at things through the lens of an ego, then a lot of shit is going to bother you, like all the time. And like,
you have no idea. Let me tell you something. Now I'm fully, by the way, I mentioned I'm a street guy, but I am not in the streets at all anymore, right? So that was easy to take my ego away because of that. You know what I'm saying? That helps to lower your ego. But you got to look at it like, things are going to happen, they're going to happen. But, shout out to your son. I know you mentioned that to me when we spoke in the past, so that, and God bless, his parents.
Thank you.
And your wife. That's it's an incredible thing. I look at it as a blessing. You know what I'm saying? It's still a blessing always. God don't make mistakes. That's the way I look at it. You know what I'm saying? But I'm very proud of you with your dealings and your wife, that you're able to be strong enough to do what you do. You know what I'm saying? Because I know it's not easy.
No, it's not. And I always try to have perspective on, and I appreciate that, man. Thank you. And, I always say, like, if I feel like it's difficult for a second, I try to let that roll off my back, because I'm like, people always have it more difficult. And I'm like, that's selfish of me to think about that, because anytime it's difficult for me, I got to think about it. For this kid, it's 10 times more difficult. It's difficult being him. For me, it's just, anything that's difficult is a fraction of compared to him or people in other circumstances. That everybody's got their things, so
For sure.
I've learned to, it was you just kind of learn to have perspective, and just kind of life. I think in modern times, people look at social media and they're like, oh man, life is supposed to be easy. This person, it's like a highlight reel of bullshit, but it's like, that's not historically how life has been throughout the history of mankind. It's like
the majority. Listen, I was thinking about this earlier when I was sitting in traffic, right? The majority of life is smoke and mirrors, bro. Bottom line, the entertainment business is smoke and mirrors. Social media is smoke in 1,000 mirrors, bro. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's it. But you got to try not to let it wrap you in. You know what I'm saying? You got to just try to take it as for what it is. It's not easy. It's not easy, because you see so many things. So it's easier to get wrapped up than it is not to get wrapped up. You know what I'm saying? But the fact is, it's smoke and mirrors, because you can see an actor on a set doing a film and they're working 3-4 days. They may not work for another 2 years after that. You know what I'm saying? Just being real, bro. Unless you're in, and unless you're on that short list, you could go 2-3 years without working easy in this business. No problem.
Yeah. I was talking about that with my daughter, who's only 7 this morning, because I'm gearing up to do my next film. And I was telling her, I was like, you know what? Maybe don't tell people in school that Daddy's a director, because they're gonna think that we're a million times. I was trying to explain to her, she's 7. I was like, only 1% of movie directors have big mansions and things like that. I'm like, she's like, but why? I was like, that's just how the cookie crumbles, honey. Like, maybe that's just how it is.
It's sick. It just goes to show you 2 things. 1, we're all fucking nuts. Or 2, that's how difficult it is, bro. And when something's that difficult, and when the numbers are scaled against you that much, there's got to be that desire there. That means it means that you have the bug for it.
If we're pursuing it with that much vigor, You know what I mean? And knowing that it's like Mission Impossible, knowing that it's like,
Right.
it's not gonna be this thing that's like this delusional, like, necessarily box office smash or
Right.
it's funny, man. So it's funny. I grew up with a lot of Sicilians, and I used to work for a Sicilian guy for a bunch of years, and he was a character. But yeah, Albanians, they look at it like, and I've talked about this before. They're like, "Oh man, you're still trying to make." I was like, "No, you don't get it. I'm doing it. I'm not trying to do. I am doing it. You know what I
I'm
mean?
living
Like,
it, bro.
I'm living it." I guess their mentality is like, unless you're Martin Scorsese, unless you're on that level of fame, then
And
what the
why
hell are
do
you
it?
doing? But I don't look at them and say, "Hey, bro, you're a plumber. Are you the number one plumber in America? And if you're not, what the fuck are you doing with your life?"
That's Sicilians are like that too. Listen, nobody's as much as Albanians because we're not here long enough. You feel what I'm saying? So that old
We're a new immigrant
mentality,
group. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
We're comparatively a newer immigrant group compared to other.
Compare right, but I'll tell you right now, the closest in my dealings, right, the closest to Albanians, like the way my family and like from my sea and stuff like that, in my opinion, that I've seen are Sicilians.
Yeah.
They're the
Yeah. I grew
closest.
up with a lot of Sicilians, culturally very similar.
The closest you're gonna get, I think, because
Yeah.
they're both we're all mountain zips. That's why everybody's from the mountains.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. So, you divide your time and stuff from New York and LA, or you
I'm
mix a little
all
bit?
over the place, bro. Yeah, I'm back and forth to New York and LA whenever I need to be. And then my family's in Florida, so I spend time in there. My parents and family and them are in Florida, so I spend time
Oh,
over there.
nice. Yeah. I was just in Florida a couple months ago.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Florida, but whatever. I'm older. I'm not. I mean, I don't know. It's
Yeah.
it's nice. I'm just not the biggest fan. It's like I don't hate it. It's cool. I'm glad that my family's there because it's good. It's good living when as
Yeah.
far as retirement's concerned, and my my nephews and nieces, my nephews and my niece and stuff like that. It's
Yeah.
cool.
I like the hot weather, and I like going into the ocean. So I think that in LA, the Pacific Ocean is a lot colder. When you go to the beach over there, it's like people are not even swimming.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then you get your heat waves. Like today, it was this morning when I was up. I was up like 7:30 this morning here in LA. It was a little chilly, not chilly, but like 50, 40 something, 50. Well, I was like, oh, what is this chill? And then it's gloomy in June. It's always a little gloomy, and now the July starting. So hopefully the sun starts coming out earlier. But in Florida and New York, it was 100 degrees in New York today.
Yeah, yeah, it was. And I'm up in New Hampshire now, but even up over here, it was in the 90s.
But it's super humid, right? See, that's
Super humid.
that I don't like.
I have to run a dehumidifier in my office, and that thing is crazy loud too. So it's like taking all the
Crazy.
water out of the air, but it's like you can't even hear anything from 10 feet away.
Incredible.
So do you still watch a lot of movies? Are you like a movie head?
I'll be honest with you, not lately, about like the last year or two, because traveling and stuff, I don't really have a lot of time. But I mean, I'm definitely consider myself, I love watching when I do get a chance. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not as much as a movie head as I used to be, only because of the time.
Yeah.
Certain things that I do, that I make sure like I'm up to date on some shows. I like the Tulsa King. I'm a big.
Oh, that's a good show. I like that show. Yeah,
so I'm
Stallone is
up to
awesome.
date on that. But as far as films are concerned, I did watch what do you call it? The Oscar sweep. I'm drawing a blank. They won the Oscar.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
The horror film, man. I can't.
Oh, Sinners. Yeah,
Sinners.
yeah. That was incredible. Yeah.
It was bugged out. I got a chance.
Yeah, but Best Picture, you just threw me off for a second because Best Picture was one battle after another. But Sinners did amazing. Like that actually. Yeah, that's true. It won Best Original Screenplay, and for good reason. It was a great script. Like I felt that when I was watching.
I didn't see the DiCaprio and
one battle after another.
Yeah, and what's his name? He's another one of my favorites too. Um,
Um, his name.
drawing a blank right now too. But
Jesus Christ, I am.
I didn't get a chance to watch it. I watched
Benicio del Toro.
Yeah, there you go, Benicio. I gotta see that. That's something I gotta watch. I've been meaning to watch it, but I gotta have time to lock in. You gotta have time to lock in, and like when I watch a film, I like to lock in and watch it.
I appreciate that you say that, because I was in the movie theater watching this movie, The Secret Agent. It was a Brazilian film, and some girl was on her phone doom scrolling, not just like on her phone texting, like fucking watching other videos.
That's what
on
I'm saying.
her phone during a movie. It's like, why are you at the movie theater if you're watching videos?
Everybody's mind, like their mind span of this, like that's what this vertical thoughts and all of this. That's crazy, because everybody just wants to see something in 10 seconds. Because everybody, you know what I'm saying? It's not you and I. It's not you and I, but I'm saying the majority of people, that's what they do.
And I'm not saying that I'll never doom scroll either, but I'm not going to doom scroll at the movie theater. And I'm trying to actually be more intentional about that, because you realize how much of a waste of time that adds up to. And so I actually started putting an app on my phone. I sound like I'm going to launch into a freaking ad on the podcast. Like, I started using this ad. We're sponsored by Block.
Soon, you got to get those sponsors.
I know we are. Shout out to Cole Howard, our producer, who is lining up some affiliate sponsors, and he's doing he's crushing it there. He just called me this morning that I think we have a promotional deal with Adorama, the photography. Nice. like legendary.
Let's go, folks. Tap in with my man Zef.
Yeah, get that discount code for Adorama. Cole Howard will send it to you.
There you go.
But yeah,
wait. So I wanted to say, so with the Sinners, bro, you know what? Why I really, really, really liked it a lot, besides all of the things it won, and those were all great reasons too. Me personally, I'm usually weird when you take a historically based movie and like mess with it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like if you start watching that, I was so into it because I love that era. I just love timepieces. You know what I'm saying? I'm a big timepiece guy. I love timepieces, and I love stories told from different cultures and settings and places. You know what I'm saying?
Will you watch movies with subtitles?
When I get a chance, I do. Like I can't think of the name of the series. There was a Netflix series, something dog. It took place in Germany. I loved it. I binge watched it right away. I can't think of it. A couple of years ago, because it brings you into the urban life in Germany. You know what I'm saying? And you start to, I love stuff like that. So when I was watching Sinners, I'm like, wait a minute, why is this thing called Sinners? I'm watching, I'm like, oh, this is, and then when it got crazy, I was like, wow, this is far out stuff. You know what I'm saying? Super authentic. And that's really what I loved about it the most. The fact that I was watching it as if it was going to be this, like, historically correct film. And then it turned into a horror film, and then I was like, this is crazy,
Were you a fan of the Italian show Gomorrah? Did you ever see that?
One of my favorite shows of all time.
That was a great one. That was
one of my favorite shows. It brings you into the projects in Napoli. I love it. I love stuff.
I thought it was really authentic and really well made, actually.
That thing is ridiculous.
It's so good. And what I feel like was also good is they didn't glorify that life. It was like depicting that life without glorifying it at all.
It was almost, it sounds crazy, but they were almost like documenting life there, bro.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like exactly. It was almost like documenting exactly what goes on. That's how real the acting was. It's crazy. Really is.
That's a good way to put it. That's exactly how it felt like.
It's not a docu film, you know what I'm saying? So if you didn't watch it,
you know what, you bring up a good point though, because I think the source material was a book called Gomorrah. There was a non-fiction book that was let me look this up. Let me fact check myself.
And there was there was a Gomorrah even before that.
The movie. So the book was by Robert Saviano. Gomorrah is a 2006 investigative book by Italian author Robert Saviano that exposes the inner workings of the Camorra, the Neapolitan crime syndicate. revealing its vast and violent international empire in drugs, fashion, and waste disposal. So, by the way, I saw that you worked on a movie last year called Dog Patrol with Cuba Gooding Jr. And I didn't get a chance to see the movie yet, but was that something that how was that? How was that experience?
It was a dope experience. I got the opportunity to read for it. My man Josh Weber, the director, who's a friend, good dude.
Is he
I
a good,
played.
is he a good director?
Yeah, definitely. Good director, good dude, solid guy. He's just good. He's a good all around dude, and good to know in the business. And he's a solid dude, which is important to me. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of
That is
people are not
important.
solid in
No,
this business. So
if
he
you
gave me
say
the
it, I believe it.
opportunity. Say it again.
I said, if you say it, I believe it, Chris.
For sure. I don't say those things loosely. You know what I'm saying? Not that I will say different. I just won't say it. You know what I mean?
I'm the same way.
I'm not trying to put nobody. You come on here and start putting people down. It's pointless. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
If it's not nothing good, then you just don't say it. You know. But I
Exactly.
was given the opportunity to read for the character role of Frankie Amici, who plays the son of an underworld boss, played by Robert Miano, who's a legend. I learned a lot from him. I didn't get really to spend a lot of time with Cuba. The few days that I did spend with him on set, super dope guy. But I spent a lot of time with Robert Miano because I played his son. And Robert Miano, bro, this guy's 80 something years old. He's been around forever. He's worked with everybody. That's like on-site training. You know what I'm saying? When you work with somebody like that, that's like the best teaching to me, the best learning for me.
He was in Donnie Brasco, and
He was in everything. Forget about it.
played Sonny Red. He was in the Fast and the Furious, Braga Double. Yeah, he's been in a bunch of things. He has 296 acting credits, which is actually pretty incredible.
And he's 80 something years old, and he's in incredible shape. Unbelievable. And that was 4 years ago. So it's a Christmas film. It's it's a good Christmas film because everybody that saw it, that I know, liked it. I'm proud of it. I'm proud of the work we did. It was a great opportunity to work with those guys. So I take it all in. You try to take it all in, but we got some very good feedback on it as far as it. It was the first Christmas. It just came out. It just came out last November. So this, every year, how Christmas films are. Every year, Christmas comes around, people watch Christmas films. So
You do.
hopefully for the ages,
I'm no exception, and I do that as well. And let me ask you this: what's from the perspective of an actor like yourself? What's your thoughts on a good director versus a bad director?
So I like directors. Look, I'm not going to sit here and act like, I'm Robert De Niro and I've been in 2,000 films, but I've been around for a little bit. And from the time that I've been around, I look at it like this. I think the number one thing for film is just communication. That's it. I think in order to be a good director, you need to communicate to whoever you're directing, right? Doesn't bother me. Oh, don't direct me or don't do that. Like, I'm not one of those guys. You know what I'm trying to say? If you hire me to work with you, then you'll see the vision, right? So I have no problem listening to a director. So I just feel that a good director is one that's able to communicate exactly what he wants, exactly maybe what he doesn't want, and just understand. And also to be able to say, you know what? If you can pick up on somebody that they have the role or they have a different way to come into the role, or, you cast someone that understands the world that the film is in, and then you give them a little leeway, listen, some directors want you to say verbatim what's on the paper, which I have no issue with, because again, you're being hired to do something, but make that clear,
Yeah.
Tell me what you want. You know what I'm saying? If you really have a specific vision, then let me know. So to me, I try to be as easygoing and just open-minded with everybody when I work. You know what I'm saying? I don't like to, I don't think it serves anybody any good when you start like, putting up, I can't do this, or I don't want to do this, or I don't want to do that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree, and I think that's really great advice, Chris, actually from a perspective of an actor, which I'm really interested in because there's all kinds of ways that directors work, just like there's different ways that actors work and approach material. Um, and I know that some directors, like Quentin Tarantino, he says that okay, like in the first take or so, he likes to see what an actor is going to bring to the table and tries not to give them too much direction on the first take, for example, because he's like, maybe they might come up with something that I didn't think about. I saw him
because he has a vision. You see what I'm saying? And that's fine too.
Vision. He has a vision, but he wants to see what they're going to bring to that vision before he starts making sort of notes and starts tweaking their.
That's cool. That's cool. So if, you listen, let's just say you get on, you're on a film for multiple days, let's just say, right? And, you get on set and it's day one and it's scene one for the day.
Yeah.
And the director says, you ready? All right. Yeah. So let's rehearse. Right. So we go through the rehearsal. If he don't say nothing, you just do your thing. You know what I'm saying? I'm just going to do my thing. If he has no notes, I'm just going to do my thing. But my thing is, if you're watching an interview when somebody says it, but the next time you get in a project and you're with that person, the director, who knows how they're going to feel that day? It's like I said before, it's like, every day, everybody feels different, right? And every day, everybody's vision is different. So that's why I just feel like the number one thing with everything is communicating.
Yeah.
I feel as an actor, you need to be able to understand communication, and whoever's, the director it runs the ship, right? So it's his ship. So he's got to be the one to communicate if he wants things to be done, right? So that's why I say communicating. But as far as a good and a bad director, I just think it's up for what project you're on and who you're working with and all that. I haven't worked with, tremendous big name people, right? But the people who I have worked with, I've never had an issue with, because again, I try to just listen and be part of the team. You know what I'm saying? It's a team thing. Nobody's making the film by themselves, all the way down to the DAs, all the way down to the people that are doing last minute runs to the store and everything. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's got to be together in this thing. So, as long as we all communicate and, I don't sometimes, like I've been on, I'm not going to mention no names, but I've been on sets before where you get high-hatted by people and it's like, whatever. It's like, what? We're working here together. What are you high-hatted?
I'm against that so much. This hierarchical sort of way of thinking. Maybe
and I got to bite my tongue because the way I used to be is I don't bite my tongue for no one, but I do now, whatever. I just, you let it go. You're working. You want to be professional.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Trust me. I get it. I've been in those situations where, somebody does something obnoxious, but then you realize how much money is being so you have to kind of put your ego to the side. And then there's a time, I'm a big believer, there's a time and a place for everything, So sometimes you might have to speak to that person at a time where it's not in front of everybody else, even though they were obnoxious in front of everybody,
Correct.
I've dealt with that, but I've also been fortunate enough to deal with mostly the overwhelming of times of positive on set. Like the vast majority of times have been positive.
Me too.
Like any bad instances have been a lot less, small in compared to all the.
I'll be honest with you, in my brief run right now, I haven't had really any bad experiences on set, I can say.
Now,
as far as bad experiences,
you've come from the music industry and also work in the film industry, and from what I've heard, that the music industry, people always say, oh, the film industry is, there's a lot of, some people have a negative kind of viewing of the film industry. It's like, oh, people are sharks and stuff like that. But I've heard the film industry is like the Boy Scouts compared to the music industry. Would you say that's true?
The music industry is absolute, especially the rap game itself is just, it's ridiculous.
But even at the highest levels of like these big companies, I've heard the music industry is like really, could be really, really nasty.
It's absolutely nasty. It's beyond nasty. It's beyond nasty. But you just got to make sure that you have a very good lawyer, and you got to make sure that everything is on paper, because at the end of the day, that's what it's going to count with. You know what I'm saying? But being in the music industry, we did a lot of things, independently. So we were able to, dictate what was going to happen, and have the power to what was going to happen. But as you go, level higher and higher, it's a cutthroat business. I mean, life is cutthroat, you know what I'm saying? But the one thing that they both have in common, that I'll tell you, the film industry and the music industry, is so many people talk out of their ass, right? Mostly in the film business, the difference between talking out of their ass, right, is in the film business, you could have somebody that's been talking out of their ass and you know them for 5, 10 years, right? But they can get a project done. It happens in the film business. I have no people personally who've done nothing but bullshitted me for 10 years. And then all of a sudden, they're a producer on this hit show now, or they're, you know what I'm saying? In the film business, that happens.
You've been surprised by certain things that you've seen like that.
And more so in the film business, it happens. In the music business, it's super difficult.
It's like failing upwards. Have you ever heard that expression?
Failing upwards. It's exactly what it is, bro. Just talk shit until the shit sticks on the wall, and then it sticks on the wall, bro. It's crazy.
That is crazy. I can't do that, man. It's not my nature.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
it's probably held me back. And I've thought about that. I'm like, I've never taken shortcuts like that because I'm not willing to screw people over. And I'm okay with that, because I'd rather look at myself in the mirror, and I'd rather look at my life and be like, I did things the right way versus doing all this nasty shit to get ahead,
Absolutely.
So as you've kind of progressed as an actor over the years, has your approach to acting evolved, or have you ever?
I try to learn. You want to know what, man? I try to just learn every day. Whether it be, watching other actors, definitely when I work with other actors, especially ones that are, been around longer than myself. I mean, that to me is, it helps me to find my own approach. You know what I'm saying? I think that people sometimes, actors specifically, tend to think that because somebody approaches something one way that you can too. I don't believe that, to be honest with you, myself.
There's not a one size fits all.
Right. Russell Crowe has a great, I don't know if you've seen it. It went viral recently where they asked him, what technique. He said, I use Russell Crowe technique. And I mean, listen, obviously he's Russell Crowe, but it means a lot to me to hear that. You know what I'm saying? Because if that doesn't mean you can't be taught things. You can be taught things, and you could train, and you could hone your skills and all of that stuff. There's nothing wrong with it. But in the end of the day, what makes you a good actor, in my opinion, is two things. One, your believability, right? Because the viewer's watching you, right? Do something. So if the viewer doesn't believe you, how good of an actor are you?
That's so true. It's as simple as that. Yeah.
It becomes very simple, bro. I mean, it really does. It's like, how good of an actor are you? And, that's just the way I try to look at things. That's the approach I try to take. And the second thing is your authenticity, right? They'll tell you that, like you watch people tell you when you audition or self-tape or whatever, be bold, take chances. I mean, what kind of chances are you going to take is upon who you are. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So how many times I've auditioned for, a Law and Order gig or this or that. And then, you know, you don't get it, but you see the person who got it and you're like, wow, that's crazy, because the character that they had me read for and the way I look, this gentleman looked nothing like me or had any type of even a remote resemblance to how I approached it at all, either by the physical, you know, features or by, you know, vocal and authority, you know, like totally different, everything. So it's like, you never know, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like the approach is what makes you comfortable. You know, I try to learn from, you know, interviews. I like to listen to other actors. I like to ask questions to other actors. I like to watch other actors work. And I feel like that gives you the best knowledge, right? And then you somewhere take some of that, take some of this, and you're own in there. You know what I'm saying? So I look at it like this. If you are able to feel confident with what you did, then that's a pretty good approach, in my opinion. Because you're very seldomly going to get the feedback. You're only going to get the feedback if you book the job. They tell you, great audition, you know, you didn't get it. You don't get
that.
And you get booked. That's, you know what I'm saying? You know, you could knock, you know how many times I've knocked auditions out of the ballpark, but you don't hear none back. It's just part of the game, right? Because technically the writer writes a character, right? The casting director is hired to go out and find talent for certain roles. Again, this is, you know, speaking for people that aren't on the short list, right? So they don't know who that character is. They only know what's written on paper. So your job is to bring that character in a 2 or 3 minute audition to life with limited information, right? Limited background information, limited everything, right? So it's a very difficult thing to do, right? So what kind of approach is going to help you? I mean, I think the best approach is to try to see it the way you would see it yourself, uniquely, because what makes everybody good is they're unique, right? Everybody's unique. So I feel like that's the best approach, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying?
I think that's the way to look at it. How would you differentiate? This is great advice, by the way, man. Or just like, I like your philosophy about this stuff. How would you differentiate authenticity and believability?
It's crazy, man. I mean, it's in the eye of the beholder, I guess, right? But I don't know. Is there times when you put something on and you're like, I can't watch this? That ever happened to you?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So for one person can watch something and be like, I could sit through it. You may be like, can't watch this, but the next person may be. So it's really difficult to differentiate that. It's not something that, you know, I can say that's it or that's not it, you know, because it's just very difficult. It's all on who the viewer is. You know what I'm saying? So if the viewer feels like this guy, hey, some people are easy to please, man. Some people could turn on Tubi and watch a film where in one scene, the guy has a beard and they cut back to his close-up and he doesn't have a beard and they're okay with it. You know what I'm saying? No disrespect. I mean it respect.
I know what you're saying.
Giving you, because that's
different strokes for different folks.
But that's how you differentiate it. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, to the viewer who's watching that, they may not care, or they may watch it because they're into it. You know what I'm saying? They're into the storyline or whatever. But me, I'm not going to, I see something like that and I'm not be like, I can't watch this, bro. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't hold my attention.
Well, no, it's a good point, because I always say film is like hypnosis, you know, and that's why people say I was into the film. Well, what does that mean? You were kind of like into the hypnosis of the film. And I like what you said even earlier, that you treat films like you want to give it your full attention.
Yeah, you want to lock in. I want to lock in.
That's old school style. Like, I remember when I was a kid, you know, and I'm sure when you were a kid too, and it was like time to watch a movie, people would dim the lights, maybe bust out the popcorn. Like, it was like almost like a ritual to do that. 100%. It wasn't like, hey, let's just throw it on while I'm looking at my phone and it's just on in the background while people are doing whatever. you know? People would try to lock in and give it their full attention, just like
No
you
doubt
do,
about it.
you know? And so I like what you're saying about believability and authenticity. And I think I'm trying to understand, and I'm sure some of those lines blur, but would you say that believability is about the performance and authenticity is more about the actor being rightfully cast for that performance?
Yeah, that has a major, major, major thing to do with it. That's why casting directors are so important. You know what I'm saying?
So important.
Not listen, they're important because they field out the talent, right? They don't have the last say. Some do, but not always. It's always going to be the director and the production that has probably the final say on who's going to get hired and who's not going to get hired. But depending on the level of the production and how far and high or how low the production is. But yeah, look, it's definitely casting. It's definitely the uniqueness of the actor. And you know, it's also the role. You know what I'm saying? Like whatever the role is, too, has a lot to do with it. Because you may believe somebody in one role, but you may not believe them in another role. You know what I'm trying to say? So again, that has a lot to do with the casting. You know what I'm saying? So I don't like. I just think I don't. It's cliche. It's the it thing and all of that stuff. I mean, look, there's so many good actors. There's so many good films, especially like now we're in 2026. Like think about all the movies. There's so many good movies. Think about movies you never even seen that are good that you never even got around to seeing yet. You know what I'm saying? Actors that you haven't even seen yet that are so it's really it's just it goes back to the thing is that you just got to do your best. And I feel you just do the best that you can, and as long as you feel confident with the work you did, the results will show later because somebody's going to give you the opportunity, right? So it's like you may not be good for you may get 20 auditions in a row where you felt you were believable, where you felt you were authentic, but they didn't see it that way. Right? It happens. Every actor knows what I'm talking about. It happens all the time, bro. Especially if you're, not a name actor. You're going to go through it. You'll have 20, 30, 40 auditions in a row where you don't even get a pin. You know what I'm saying? And you say to yourself, it's easy to question yourself. It's easy to say, wow, am I good enough or am I not good enough? Or, you know what I'm saying? The fact is,
oh, no, go ahead, please.
No, good.
No. I don't want to stop your train of thought.
The fact is, you're gonna, as long as you continue to get the opportunities, you're closer to where you want to be. Is the way you got to look at it. You know what I'm saying? It sucks because in the meantime, money's not coming in, and like you see, it's a cliche. The struggling actor, actors are struggling now. Even some name actors are struggling now. You see, things went viral. My man Kirk Acevedo. He went viral talking about it the other day. He's got major stuff under his belt, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, so who am I if he can't get work? You know what I'm saying? But the fact is, it's all in the numbers. So it's just something that you just got to stay focused. You got to put, you got to put your horse blinders on, and you just got to do the work. Bro. That's it. And just study and train as best as you can, and get advice from others. And just keep going. You know what I'm saying? That's all really you can do. It's very, very, very difficult. But, if you make it to where you want to be, it's well worth it.
That's great advice, Chris. On that note, man, I'm gonna ask you a question that I ask each guest, which is to list 2 of their favorite movie scenes from any 2 films of all time. I always say it doesn't have to be your absolute most because it's a tough question, but any scenes that you like for any reason whatsoever.
So listen, I mean, there's so many, and just for the sake of answering the question, I'm going to answer the question. You know what I'm saying? But because because it's like when people ask you, "What's your favorite?" How can somebody have a favorite movie? There's a million movies. Can you think about that? It's crazy, right?
Everybody basically always says that, and I always say, you don't have to. It doesn't have to be your most absolute because it's too hard of a question. But
it's all good. No, listen, I get it. For the sake of answering, I will. I just was given like a little
preface.
Preamble. Yeah, like a little preamble to it because it's like people ask you, "Who's your favorite actor?" Look, if somebody's gonna ask me who's your favorite actor, I'm gonna say Denzel. but I have so many other. You know what I'm trying to say? I have so many other ones that I love, that I take from, that are inspirations and stuff. You know what I mean?
You know what I learned recently, by the way, that he pronounces his own name Denzel.
Yeah, Denzel. I'm calling him Uncle Denzel. I don't care, bro. Unless he tells me not to, then I won't. You know what I'm saying? If I get the opportunity to work with him, which I would look. So all right. So I was thinking about this. All right. So Godfather 1, when Michael is in Sicily and he marries Apollonia, he asks the father to marry her. I always loved that.
That's
because you know why? Because it's similar to Albanian Catholic tradition. It's
so similar.
That's what it is, right?
That's
so
what it is.
People think that, and arranged marriages? No, it's not arranged where they tell you this one's going to marry this one. It's arranged like in The Godfather. That's how it is. You know what I'm saying? And that has more, but that's why I tell you before, Sicilians and Albanian culture, very, very, very similar. You know what I'm trying to say? And it's probably because of that whole mountain. You know what I'm trying to say? Like you're away in the mountains.
A mountainous sort of lifestyle.
Right. So you have to keep your culture, and us more so because of all the other stuff. But whatever, we'll keep that for another day. You know what I'm saying? That's like a whole, forget it. We'll be here until tomorrow morning talking about that.
We will.
But, so I would say when he sits down, because that whole interaction with that part of the film, I always loved, because it put into cinema what somebody would look at as that didn't know the difference between arranged marriages and old school Albanian and Sicilian marriages. You know what I'm trying to say? Arranged marriages were different. Arranged marriages, the families got together and made two people get married. You know what I'm trying to say? That's an arranged marriage. A lot of Indian culture does that. You know what I'm trying to say? That's different.
I do know.
Arab culture does that. But this was different. And the way that, they were able to bring that to light in that film, I thought was incredible. It always stuck out to me because obviously of our background, you know what I'm trying to say, as Albanian, you know what I mean?
I love that. Yeah, I love that. So when he meets Apollonia in Sicily, played by Simonetta Stefanelli, I was just looking it up, and it was first of all, it's a beautifully shot scene, and just the way she looks at him for the first time when she's walking with like the other girl, and like when they first like see each other, that moment, and when he goes and speaks with her, it was just freaking incredible, man. And just
Spoiler alert.
when she gets blown up, that was
Because if you still got to do spoiler alerts for The Godfather, then forget about it. There's something going on.
I know, right?
Every single human being I know says that's their favorite movie. So I guess that means something. Every walk of life, too.
Yeah. So I'll go on record saying Godfather Part 2 is my favorite movie of all time. But I still obviously love Godfather Part 1. It has a special place in my heart. But yeah, and I just remember seeing that scene for the first time. It's very striking. It's a very striking scene. So that's a good pick, man. No one's ever picked that on the podcast.
Yeah, because you know what? People overlook it. Again, what was I telling you earlier? I like being brought into the culture. Well, when they did that, they brought me into my own culture that nobody knew about. You understand what I'm trying to say? And I
know extremely, because when I met my wife shortly after, and I knew, I was like, all right, this is the girl I want to marry. I was like, hey, by the way, I want to meet your parents. She's like, you want to what? I was like, I want to meet your parents.
Yeah.
She's like, kind of like surprised. But for me, it was like, hey, you're marrying the whole family. You're not just marrying, you're merging families here.
Bro, if you remember in the film, it's so old school. Michael sees her, he likes her, has a few words with her, then he's talking to her father.
Yes.
Because you couldn't do nothing else. You had to go to talk to the father right away. And you have to ask for the hand in marriage right away, too. They sit down there, he brings the gifts, he does more doing stuff. Bro, it's pretty wild.
Dude, if anybody understands that, I completely understand that.
You know what I'm saying? So that always, and another one I'll put, obviously I'm a big sports guy. And it was a film called Hoosiers.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Legendary film. Yeah. Gene Hackman, rest in peace.
Great actor, one of my favorite actors of all time, and takes place in Indiana, of course, and it was incredible where he plays a basketball coach. So yeah, go ahead.
So there's a scene in there, inspirational scene, where he talks to the boys in the locker room, pause, and he says just some incredible, inspiring stuff. I actually have it's on my Instagram page. I clipped it when I gave him a little an ode when he passed away. I like to do that with like when a certain actor passes away, especially one that's super inspirational to me. I'll put a clip on it. It's one of my favorite clips because he tells them, I don't know it verbatim. I don't know the monologue verbatim, but he just gives them an inspiration to just go out there and do the work that they were taught and try their hardest. And at the end of the day, whether they win or lose, they could be winners in his book. And he's just got a unique way of putting that across. There's another guy in that film, Dustin Hoffman, who's legendary in that film. His name's Shooter. See, that's what I'm saying. I can't. It's so difficult with because I get inspired by so many people. You know what I'm saying? Whether they're actors, rappers, musicians, athletes, not so much politicians, to be honest with you, but working figures. You know what I'm trying to say? Yeah, because there's not really inspiring about many of them, to be honest with you. Whatever. But Gene Hackman's scene. It's a locker room scene. Anybody who has not seen it, you could go Google it or YouTube it. It's definitely on there because I believe that's where I took it from. Repost it. It's a super, and it make you run through a brick wall after you hear it. God, you listen to that every morning, you run right through a brick wall.
I'm gonna listen to that again because I haven't seen that movie in many years, and
the legendary. It's one of my favorite.
But I could use the inspiration,
for sure.
Yeah, awesome, Chris. And where could people follow along with you, man?
So I'm only on Instagram, the Kid from Queens with 2 D's, the Kid from Queens with 2 D's, or you could just Google Chris Camaj and it'll lead you to everywhere else there. That's it. I'm on no other socials.
Nice. Thanks, Chris. I really appreciate you being on the podcast.
My pleasure, bro. I know we were trying to hook up for a long time, and you know how it is with the time and traveling and this and that, and you're busy and I'm busy. So, I'm glad that we were able to lock in.
I'm glad that we made it happen.
Thank you for listening to the Film Situation